Hi there, my name is Miss Harlabidis and this is the second video from my series of videos focused entirely on the AP Statistics 6.5, which is about how to interpret p-values. But before we even reach on interpreting p-values, we need to learn how to properly calculate them. So far, in the previous first video of this topic, we saw that a p-value is the probability of obtaining a sample proportion. In general, it's about a sample statistic, but now we're talking about sample proportions, about hypothesis tests for proportions. So, p-value is the probability of obtaining a sample proportion as extreme or even more extreme than the one we have already got, assuming that the null hypothesis is true. We then said that in order to calculate the p-value for a hypothesis test, we firstly need to learn how to calculate the z-statistic score. And that z-statistic score is given directly by the formula, which sadly is not in the formula that will be provided to you in the exams. So be careful, you need to remember it by heart. The z-statistic is the sample proportion minus the claimed proportion over claimed proportion times 1 minus claimed proportion over the sample size. This means that the z-statistic needs three key variables. It needs the claimed proportion, it also needs the sample proportion and the sample size. Now, I will show you, and basically the next three videos will be about that, on how to calculate p-values. But before we do that, I want you to remember that the p-value depends on the direction of the alternative hypothesis. And right now, we will start with those two cases in which the sample proportion is actually on the direction indicated by the alternative hypothesis. So, cases number 1 and 2, sample proportion is in the same direction as the alternative hypothesis. And let me make things a bit more clear through an example. Example number 1. Let's assume that for a specific case, the null, let me make this a bit bigger so that we have more space to work on. So let's assume that for a specific example, the null hypothesis H0 states that the population proportion is 0.62. And the alternative one is that P is greater than 0.62. First of all, we should all know that this is called a one-tailed test because the alternative hypothesis indicates only one direction, only the cases where the proportion is greater than something. We used a sample of 45 persons and we found a population proportion equal to 0.67. This is what I mean on the same direction. The alternative hypothesis says that P can be greater than 0.62. My sample proportion is on that direction. My sample proportion is greater than 0.62. So I had the size of the sample, I have the sample proportion, and I have the claim proportion. With that, I will calculate the z-score. The z is p hat, which is the sample proportion, 0.67, minus the claimed one, minus 0.62, over the root of P claimed, so 0.62 times 1 minus 0.62, let me write that like this, over 45. Let's use now our calculators. I'm gonna use, hold on, I'll bring it right now. I'm using the Casio FX CG50 since this is the one we are using here in my classes. So my students are more familiar with that, but you could also do that with a TI or any company you might be using. So for me, this is the Casio, the emulator of that. I will simply go to the run matrix, create a fraction first. On top, we would have 0.67 minus 0.62 over, let's create the root first, another fraction, 0.62 times 0.38, and all that over 45, which is 0.69. So that should be 0.69. Let's see now how I can use this z-score to find the corresponding p-value. This is a normal distribution. When we assume that the population proportion is 0.62, basically we assume that we are following a sample distribution, the mean of which is at 0.62. I found the z-score of 0.69. So basically, with this z-score of 0.69, I am looking for the area above that. And why the area above that? Because the alternative hypothesis suggests so. How can I find this area? Easily. I will bring the z-score tables. We are talking about 0.69, so let's go to that 0.69. Remember, we need to find where the line of 0.60, which is this, and the column of 0.9, which is a bit to the right, so here. So let's clear that. 0.60 would be here, 0.09 is here, these two meet over there. So this means that the z-score for that gives me an area of 0.7549. However, this is not the area I need to find. Why is not? Because remember that the z-scores always give me the area from the very left end up to that point. So basically, when the table indicates that we have this area of 0. Let me see that, of 0.7549, this means that this green one is 0.7549. So, since I want to find this one, I will do 1 minus 0.7549. Once again, let me use my calculator. 1 minus 0.7549, 0. It's gonna be 0.2451. So that is the p-value, which means that the probability of getting a sample proportion as big or even bigger than the one we already got is 24.51%. Let me clear the extra drawings, and let's work the same concept, still a case where the sample proportion is on the direction of the alternative hypothesis. However, in this case, I'm going to use an alternative hypothesis on the other direction. Meaning, let's see this example. Let's assume that the null hypothesis is that P is 0.71 and that the alternative hypothesis is that P is less than 0.71. I used a sample of 45 students and I was able to find a sample proportion of 0.31. We want to calculate the p-value. Again, I will begin by finding the z-statistic. The z-statistic only relies on these three values. The p-hat, which is 0.31, the sample proportion, which is not the sample proportion, the claimed proportion, which is 0.71, and the sample's size. So, by plugging in these three in the formula, I get 0.31 minus 0.71 over 0.71 times 1 minus 0.71 and all that over 45. Let me use my calculator again. Fraction 0.31 minus 0.71 over root fraction 0.71 times 0.29 over 45, which is minus 5.9. It's quite big. Let's see if we can I'm going to reduce it because I want that to be no, so I will have to reduce the sample. So let's assume, still no. Let me make these equal to 20. Or let me do that equal to 15. So it would be 3.4. We have such value. Okay, let's assume that I did not use 45 in my sample, but I used instead 15. The only reason I did that was because I want to get a p-value that is on the given table of z-scores so that I show you how this thing works. So over 15, we ended up to negative 3.41. This is the z-score. What does this z-score, how is this related to the p-value? I'll draw a normal bell. Somewhere here, we get the value of negative 3.41. The p-value, remember, it has to follow the flow of the alternative. Since the alternative suggests less than this, the p-value is the area of the probability of being less than negative 3.41. I'm going to go now to the formulas given, to the given table, and I will search for negative 3.41. Negative 3.41 can be found here, where the negative 3.4 and the 0.001 meet, which is 0.0003. So the p-value here is 0.0003. I don't need to do anything. I was looking for the area on the left the z-scores always provide me with these type of areas, so I'm already okay. That is the p-value. How can we translate that? It means that the probability of getting a sample proportion less than 0.31 or even equal to 0.31, we say as extreme or even further extreme, in this case less than that, assuming that the null hypothesis is true, is 0.0003. That's for now. On the next video, I'll show you the cases on calculating p-values when the actual sample proportions are opposed to the direction that the alternative hypotheses indicate. For now, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching.